Welcome to the Dhosjan Show. I'm your host, Dhosjan Greenaway-Dalini, a startup advisor and fractional CFO at Bia Innovate. And today we're talking about something that hits close to home for me as both a parent to a 7-year-old and someone working in tech. So I want to talk about what AI won't teach our children. And there's a current discussion that with AI in the classroom, teachers will become irrelevant. And apparently someone recently asserted that when AI in teaching gets to its peak, yes, you'll still have schools, but mainly for childcare. And if you believe the headlines, teachers switch into the realm of being babysitters. So now I'm hoping that this was taken out of context or it's a bit for publicity, but either way, it got me thinking, and I wondered, are they suggesting that AI can teach our children all they need to learn? It can't be, but if so, I firmly want to challenge that. I want to push back on that. Because yes, AI does bring lots of incredible value to education, and I'm a huge advocate for introducing it into the school system as early as possible, with the proper strategy around it, of course. But there's a massive difference between delivering content and shaping human beings. So let's acknowledge what AI can actually do, and it's a very long list, to be fair, and there are some serious benefits. Firstly, personalized learning. AI can tailor instruction based on how each student learns best. It can adjust the difficulty as a student progresses, making learning more engaging and accessible. Secondly, 24/7 access, whether it's an AI tutor at midnight or a maths explainer on demand. Students are learning on their own terms. Thirdly, accessibility. It can remove barriers for students with disability, language differences, or those in remote areas, making education more inclusive. And I remember on a trip to China recently with my family, and we met up with some contacts. And one of them brought their daughter. And my daughter doesn't speak Chinese, and this girl didn't speak English. But they brought out the tech, and it was a translator. And they were having a full-on play date, talking to each other, but through this device. And it was absolutely fantastic. And you can see it's so delighted just to meet someone new, explore different culture, but they could actually communicate and engage. So that's really, really great. And fourthly, you have, you can use tools around simulations, games, challenges, help the students develop some real world skills a bit more and encourage that creative thinking, problem solving. And fifth and finally, teacher support. And although I'm not a qualified teacher, I teach my child, but I'm not professional. And I'd love to have a part 2 of this topic for the teacher to explore this further. But I think teacher support it's one of the most pressing and most practical benefits we have now in terms of automating admin tasks like lesson prep and grading and performance tracking and so on. For example, because if you can remove some of the excessive admin work, then you can free up the teacher to do what they're trained and passionate to do, and that is teach. But I'd love to get a professional educator's perspective on that. So yes, AI is powerful, it's here to stay, and I feel it should be embraced. But teachers are not babysitters. For me, teaching has never been about just transferring knowledge. Great teachers, they nurture identity, your self-worth, your resilience. They spark that confidence in children who doubt themselves, and they challenge students to grow, not just from the context of academics, but personally, ethically, morally. And I don't see AI sitting down with a child who's having a rough week, noticing the child with anxiety just in the way they sit. How does it support them through bullying, grief, family upheaval? That's pastoral care, and that is quite vital. The hidden curriculum, so not just what's taught on paper, it's how it's taught through process and presence, that human connection, which can be virtual as well. But it's the way humans bring things to life that creates that lasting impact. And if you ask anybody about their school years, you'll hear them say, there was this one teacher, and they bring you this example of someone that opened their eyes about a certain topic. Maybe they're now a doctor, or they're a musician, or they're a builder, a carpenter. But there's this one teacher that opened their eyes and ignited the passion and sort of kicked off, showed them the magic of a certain subject, and then they were hooked for life. And I mean, for me, I remember 1, 2, 3 teachers by name, and I just remember the ones that made me feel that has helped me see my potential, helped me see that yes, I could go places. There's something special about me. It just made me feel seen. And I have a lot of friends and a lot of contacts over the years that have said the same thing, where it's not just about the teacher transforming their lives. It's about them taking the time, making them feel like they mattered. And in some instances, I know, some teachers, they do save lives. I'm not just being sentimental. It really is about that transformational learning. So teachers aren't explaining just algebra, but life. They're helping kids understand their changing bodies, navigating friendships, developing, as I mentioned, those key emotional intelligence skills. They're part coach, part carer, 100% role model. And I just can't see AI replicating that. So thinking of AI plus human, the future of learning, it's not an either or, it's both. Let AI handle and optimize content delivery, quiz generation, challenges, data analysis, and so on. And let it help students find new ways to learn, explore, and grow. But let's not forget, it's the humans who help children become fully formed humans. A great teacher doesn't just get students to pass tests. They shape them into these curious, kind, capable, wanting to give back, nurturing, thinking about the betterment of humanity, decent human beings, in my view. And I remember there's this saying I know from growing up where when you're choosing a spouse, don't think about purely based it on looks. Remember that these people will be raising your children. And that's how I see teachers. They're raising our children. Teachers, they're raising our children. And I don't just want AI doing that. I want a properly trained, qualified, amazing, inspiring, nurturing teacher to help my child on that journey. And I feel that collaboration with AI and humans, I feel that, that's the real future of education. To summarize, 1, AI is a tool. It's not a teacher. It enhances, optimizes, but it doesn't replace. 2, teaching is emotional. It's relational. It's human work that involves mentorship, pastoral care, character building. And those I do not feel are optional add-ons. And 3, let's celebrate AI for what it can do. It's a lot. But let's protect what only teachers, humans, will ever be able to do. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Dhosjan Show. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a fellow team member, a colleague, a friend, a family member. And don't forget to follow the Dhosjan Show for more insights, strategies, and stories to help you launch, grow, and scale your business. If you want to learn more about how we can support you, get in touch by going to our website, biainnovate.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you see AI changing the way our children are educated. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and embracing innovation.